On today's show, the San Diego Padres sweep the Washington Nationals like the chumps that they are, that they showed us they are who we thought they were. Going over this game, a bounce-back start from Dylan Cease, super return to form, what it says about him going forward, as well as what this series and this game says about the Padres going forward, potentially at the trade deadline, and Higashioka. My guy's been on fire. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Thursday, June 27th. As always, I'm your host with sometimes occasionally, but certainly not always the most, Javier Reyes. You may be familiar with my baseball-related work over at Just Baseball, which I'm going to get back to writing soon, I promise you. And also, my new podcast, Baseball versus the World. If you want non-Padres and more fun baseball stuff, just did an episode of Moneyball Awards Show, with categories from best scenes to the best moments of Brad Pitt eating food, all sorts of fun stuff. You can also go follow me, of course, on Twitter at Javipeno, Javiiipeno, the best handle in the game. And today's episode, we are recapping the last game of this Washington Nationals series that went oh so swimmingly. And this is the most we're back, I think, series that the Padres have had in a while. Now 3 games over 500, so this is going to be a lot of fun to recap. And then we're actually going to respond to a couple of responses that I got on Twitter about the Padres, what they should look for at the trade deadline. Didn't get too many, but that's okay. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about the trade deadline, so that's totally fine. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Today's episode, though, this episode of Locked On Padres is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, that's right. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And today's episode, guys, I mean, we're always thriving and vibing on this episode, on this show. Let's just be very clear about that. There's no doubt about it. That is what we do. But, folks, today's episode, I'm a little surprised, folks, because what have the Padres shown us a lot this year is that they keep dropping these last couple games or last game against teams that they should beat. And it's really cool to see that apparently the sour whiner babies that are Dave Martinez and the Washington Nationals, except for CJ Abrams. We love you, baby. You're a cutie pie. We love you. Aside from him, just, is this the type of series that the Padres really needed? You want to get amped up. I love how much the team defending each other. We can go through the semantics of, did Machado maybe, what's the word? In yesterday's game, I should say, or 2 days ago now, did Machado maybe instigate a tiny bit the way he got in between Profar and Keibert Ruiz? Maybe, but you know what? Bottom line is, y'all were being whiner babies because the dude celebrated in a way that you didn't like. One of the dumbest things in all of sports. It's all of sports. No other sport is like it to this degree. But what I will say is, thank God, because one, it was pretty exciting. It was a really fun time on Twitter, but more so, this is the type of series win with the intensity that it had, that if the Padres do well, which is totally possible, I've never said that I've given up on this Padres season. I just personally right now do not believe that this is a team that you should go crazy at the trade deadline for, even though I doubt Preller will listen to me. But this is the type of series that if the Padres make the playoffs, if they play better, if they start being what they can be, they show the upside that they've flashed so much this season. This is the type of series that you look back on and you're like, it feels like it started there. That's what this series felt like. Washington Nationals getting absolutely swept, and I understand they're not a great team, but they're definitely not the terrible Nationals that they were maybe last year and certainly the year before, where they just had absolutely nothing. They traded everything. Obviously, they traded Soto, all that sort of stuff. It's not a total wipeout team. And frankly, I don't care if they are a total wipeout team. Wins are wins. And especially if you're a Padres fan following this team, seeing them get a sweep, complete it, just handle a team from top to bottom. You have the walk-off on Monday. You have the revenge game on Tuesday. And then you have a Dylan Cease bounce back on Wednesday. It's just a great series overall. Seriously, I really do think that this is something that you can carry momentum in, and they're going to be playing the Red Sox this weekend, which, by the way, going to have a crossover with the Red Sox host tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun, so stay tuned to that. But the Red Sox have been pretty solid, so all in all, great series win for the Padres. Absolutely great, and they deserve a lot of credit. But let's talk about the specifics. Dylan Cease, I've been saying for a while, man. I don't know how long I've been saying it, but oh my gosh. I've been telling y'all, it doesn't look like there's nothing under the, at least immediate, I'm not the smartest person in the world, underlying metrics that it could explain why Dylan Cease had been having a rough patch as of late. I believe he had like a 7, not a 7, but like a 5 ERA or 5 ERA sort of stretch for a while now. June was not his month whatsoever, although he did have the good start against Oakland. You know, got absolutely beat up by the Mets. That was a disaster, getting absolutely torpedoed by Pete Alonso. And then Milwaukee, he only went 4 2/3. We've been saying, though, for a while, and what I'd been saying is if you look at FIP, if you look at his hard hit data, if you look at his ground ball rate, if you look at his pitch usage, his whiff rates, all that sort of stuff, I did not see anything that suggested that Dylan Cease was playing out of his mind to start the season and that he just regressed to what I think people feared he might be, which is what he was last year, which is a mid-4s ERA guy that gets some strikeouts, but he's almost on for those who my bad. For those who remember, like, Chris Archer back in the day, like, he had some, like, mid-4s, low-4s ERA years, but he would get all the strikeouts and whatnot, and he just never lived up to his potential. Maybe that's what people felt, but absolutely huge bounce-back start for him. 7 innings, no earned runs, only 1 hit allowed in this game, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, lowering his ERA to 3.84. Wow. Just phenomenal stuff from Dylan Cease. And he was great. And I thought what was interesting about him is it felt like he kind of went full-blown fastball slider in this game. And I don't mean felt like. I mean, he literally did 43% of his pitches being fastballs, 40% being sliders. Generated 9 whiffs on the slider, generated 6 whiffs on the fastball. My favorite was 1 strikeout against one Sir C.J. Abrams. We still love you. But that was nasty stuff. He looked like he was locating. It just felt right. And he did have a couple of, like, changeups that I thought were good too. I don't know. It just felt like he was a lot more focused in this start. Just a lot more on point. And he basically didn't give up any major big hits, aside from a couple, like, you know, moments later on in the game from the Padres bullpen. But Dylan Cease himself was pretty great. Like, there really isn't much to complain about in this one. You had a force out. That was kind of like the hardest hit ball of the day. And it was from Joey Meneses. So really dynamite start from Dylan Cease. And I do think that this is the type of start that he's now going to go on a nice hot stretch. I really do. I don't know who they play. I think his next start would be. It's probably whoever they play after the Red Sox. So that would be, who the heck they play after the Red Sox? Let me see. Texas? Oh, he might kill Texas. I don't know if y'all been following, but Texas ain't that good this year. So really excited for that. But I think Dylan Cease is going to continue. I really do. I think that he's just been due. And I think that he went through a rough patch. He is a great pitcher who I don't think it's impossible that he ever returns to that Cy Young form, but he is a guy that a lot of things will have to go right for him to return to that Cy Young form. But that doesn't mean that he's not still amazing and a great pitcher. Still awesome stuff, and man, was that trade before the season huge. I know that he's had a rough patch lately, but all in all, that trade before the season, I didn't realize like how amazing of a move that was. Like, AJ Preller deserves a lot of credit for pulling the trigger on that, considering that you've had bad seasons from Joe Musgrove, who's been hurt, a bad season from Yu Darvish, who's been hurt, and if not from Matt Waldron, you know, Michael King's been up and down and whatnot, aside from lately. You needed this. You needed a reliable starter. That's what teams like this need, especially given that the Padres bullpen has been a mess. But anyway, we got to talk about the rest of this game, guys. We got to talk about the specifics. How did the Padres score, and a couple other observations, including, my God, that bullpen. But first, I want to take a second to talk to you about, here's the thing. This podcast, we got you covered. I'm going to tell you about all the rumors. I'm going to tell you if Garrett Crochet rumors are happening. I'm going to tell you if the Padres say, you know what, Tatis might be out for a while, we're getting Tommy Pham. I can tell you about all that. I can give you the updates, all the game recaps, all season long. We got you covered here. But you know what else is year-round, folks? All season? Collection season. Yeah, you don't like it, but guess what? You got to do it. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let them. Don't let them. Let's do it, okay? Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA, you know how much they've saved people? $1 billion plus in tax debt. So whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that need attending to, whatever it is, they are the people to help you out. Just call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/locked-on. See the link in the episode description below. Go check it out. Tax Network USA. But we're not done yet. Oh, no. We got to talk about a little bit more of a fun sponsor, but they are a sponsor that, similar to Tax Network USA, is here to help you out with your needs. And in this case, it is your motor vehicle needs, folks. That is, of course, the great folks over at eBay, specifically eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. You need all of that with eBay Motors, folks. You need all of that. And they've got it. They've got it. They have everything you need to keep your number one ride or die vehicle alive. Everything you need to maintain your vehicle, from carpet to wheels to LED headlights to exhaust kits, roof racks, superchargers, whatever you want, they have it. And they have a crap ton of parts too. With over 122 million parts, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber. You ain't burning cash, folks. So, yeah, no. So, with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home those huge wins. Keep it alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Go check it out. And just like that, folks, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast. Now let's get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty, because I did it before. We only talked about Dylan Cease. Of course, the Padres scored 8 runs in this game. Look, the Padres offense has been so good for a while now that I understand that there's been some frustrating games, but they've been so amazing. Kyle Higashioka is the one that gets it started with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the second inning, absolutely crushing it. I don't know what's going on, and I believe there was a stat going around that Kyle Higashioka is 3rd this month in slugging percentage, which is just hilarious. Hit this one he hit this one 107.2 miles per hour exit velocity on that, 970 expected batting average, and just in case you were wondering, 30 out of 30 ballparks, it was a home run. So this isn't some fluky, like, wow, how'd that get out of there type of home run. Just really, really great stuff. Something that you absolutely love to see. And the Padres then also got a little bit of a RBI from our boy Jurickson Profar, and making it 4-0. Profar just having himself just the time of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, just absolutely having the time of his life. He actually hit leadoff, which is a little bit weird, because they gave, I guess, Luis Arraez the day off, so that's totally fine. But they gave him the day off. That's totally cool, again. But 1 for 4 for him, not much, but he does get the RBI. Just a great, just what a 3 days for my guy. Seriously, like, he must just be absolutely thrilled. He's got the day off tomorrow. It must be great to be Jurickson Profar right now. But Manny Machado, he goes 2 for 4 in this one. I just want to bring him up because, again, I'm starting to get really excited. He actually hit a ball 106.9 miles per hour off the bat in this one. Every single night, or at least every few nights, we keep getting really hard hit balls by Machado. So I'm really optimistic that while he had like the mother of all bad starts to begin this season, that maybe he's starting to figure some things out. And maybe, frankly, this is just a question of maybe that injury really was crazy, and it's one of those things that he's just played through, and that he actually shouldn't have been back so soon. I mean, after all, they didn't let him field, right? To start the season, he wasn't playing a lot at third base. So maybe that's what it was. It could be. But still, we don't know, because as I've said many times before, Machado also struggled last year, and we had not heard about an injury. We heard about the injury in like August, and they shut him down in like early September or whatever. So again, we'll have to see, but Manny Machado looks awesome right now and deserves a lot of credit, because he's hitting for more power, and he's absolutely drawing a lot more attention, folks. Let me tell you, he's been just really good lately, and not striking out. That's the big thing. The strikeouts were concerning, but shouts to Machado. Just really, really good stuff. Hopefully he's back. Otherwise, not much else to report here in this game. Eggy Rosario gets the start at third base, actually. Donovan Solano played first base today. Cronenworth played second. Eggy Rosario, I did get a report that they've been testing him out and fielding fly balls because they might need him in the outfield. Look, I don't understand how you trade for Arraez, you still have Tyler Wade on your team, and then you also sign Donovan Solano, and you aren't prepping Eggy Rosario if he can to try and be an outfielder. I'm sorry, like, I don't get it. Now, I understand that he actually is pretty good at picking it up over at third base, but that's just weird to me that now all of a sudden you're like, hey, start practicing fly balls. Like, that's just a real lack of foresight. I understand there's been a lot of injuries that have contributed to this, but it just says a lot. So that's not great. But he does get a double in this game. He's so weird. Eggy Rosario is so freaking weird, man. But one of the hardest hit balls of the entire afternoon, 107.0 miles per hour exit velocity, 650 expected batting average. Just really funny that Eggy Rosario is just... I can't get over his splits against lefties, righties, man. And one thing we've talked about on this show is, you know, Padres have been really bad against lefties this year, except for this series. Take that, Mackenzie Gore. I think that Eggy Rosario should try and get some... They should try and see if they can fit him in more at-bats. That's probably why they want him in the outfield with Tatis expected to be out for a while. I think they're kind of couching it, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but the whole well after the All-Star break, it didn't sound as bad at first. He's going to be out for a minute. That's what it feels like to me. Like, I am expecting anything from this. So that's probably why they're panicking and having him field fly balls if they aren't able to, you know, get someone else in the outfield at the trade deadline or something. So that's not great. But one thing that is cool, he could theoretically help them in their problem against lefties. That was one of the things I was campaigning for at the beginning of the year, is hit him every time against lefties. Of course, we had the whole Tyler Wade fiasco, but whatever. But really, yesterday's game, it belongs entirely to Kyle Higashioka. 3 for 4 in this one with 2 home runs. That's right. He didn't just hit the home run in the bottom of the second, a grand salami in the bottom of the 8th inning, allowing Ha-Seong Kim, Jake Cronenworth, and Manny Machado to score. It's funny, they actually had bases loaded with 0 outs in that inning, and then they got a strikeout from Merrill and an Eggy Rosario flyout. So it was like, oh, come on, guys. Can we get like one extra insurance run? And they do, and it turns out they needed it, by the way. Yeah, it turns out they needed it, which is genuinely pathetic, but Kyle Higashioka hits an absolute bomb, and similar to that first one that he hit, it was also relatively well hard hit. 104.2 exit velocity, 30 out of 30 ballparks, it was a home run. So isn't that amazing? I don't remember the last time I've seen that a catcher who's like a defensive only guy for the most part, a backup catcher who hit 2 home runs, and they were both like no doubters. Like, that's just kind of crazy. Kyle Higashioka, man, just unbelievable stuff. Has been filling in and doing a great job for our guy, Luis Campisano, while he's been hurt. And as we all know, Luis Campisano has really struggled this year, and he's especially been bad behind the dish. But it's funny, Higashioka's got himself a little like 5-game hitting streak going right now, or a 4-game hitting streak going right now. And I got a message from one listener of the podcast, William Songer, who said, question for next mailbag, maybe. No, because it's relevant right now. Lately, is Higashioka better than Campisano both offensively and defensively? Will he take the primary catcher position? First of all, shout out to you, Mr. William Songer, because right after that was the second home run, the grand slam, right after he messaged that. So lately, yes, Higashioka has been really good, obviously. I mean, in June, he's one of the best slugging catchers in baseball, which is insane. And what's crazy is he's just, in general, one of the best slugging players in baseball. It's just so funny. Ever since the Merrill picture with him and the guitar, you know what I mean? Like, just crazy stuff. No, I do not think that he's earned himself the primary catching position. But I do want to go back and remember that this sounds like tooting my own horn. I don't mean for it to come off that way, but one of my things was early on, before Campisano was falling off offensively, I thought that Higashioka earned himself some more playing time. Because Campisano, while at the time he was still hitting well, I was concerned with the fact that he wasn't hitting the ball hard and he wasn't taking walks, which usually is like, okay, are you just going to be Luis Ariz, but catchers? I mean, that would be amazing, but I highly doubt that. Luis Ariz is kind of one of one in that regard. And Luis Campisano really fell off. He really did. It's not great how he's been. He fell off so bad, Luis Campisano, because of the hitting, so bad that currently, despite playing in 66 games, compared to Kyle Higashioka's 31, Kyle Higashioka has a better wins above replacement mark of 0.4 versus Campisano's 0.0. And the big reason for that is they both have basically identical WRC pluses at this point. 86 for Kyle Higashioka, 89 for Luis Campisano. There clearly needs to be more of a timeshare. Unless there's a trade to happen, then maybe there's a catcher out there that I'm unfamiliar with, your Shea Langoliers of Oakland, whoever it is. he deserves more playing time. I still want to give Campisano a little bit more time, but granted, he was so bad for a while that I'm starting to wonder if teams maybe figured him out. And if he's not going to be a plus offensive player, then yeah, Kyle Higashioka is probably going to start a lot more games because you know he's going to give you defensive value. I don't think he's going to be the primary catcher. I still think you have to give our boy and the Campisano Hive a little bit more of a leash. But those numbers, 0.4 F4 already, compared to 0 for Campisano, despite playing in 30 more games, that shows you how bad his defense is, and that showed you how bad his bat has fallen off. And frankly, I don't know if the bat is because people figured him out. I don't think it's luck-based. I think he's just been bad. Straight up, I think Campisano has been a mess for a while now. And it's not great. And I don't know if it's going to get fixed. I really don't. This feels like a player who needs a little bit of a hitting overhaul. That's what it feels like to me. I could be wrong, but we'll see. But thank you for the question, sir. Because also, by the way, it is worth pointing out, Kyle Higashioka has never been a positive offensive player. Basically never. In terms of his career, his highest WRC plus came in the 2020 season, so it was shortened, and it was only 16 games at 102. Last year, he had an 86 WRC plus. Year before that, 84. Year before that, 72. He is an amazing, amazing backup. I loved that they got him in the Soto trade because that's just a tiny thing that you need, and that stuff adds up. But all in all, here's the other thing. He's striking out so far 35.9% of the time compared to just a 4.3% walk rate. Again, this is, when it comes to catchers, you have to weigh it with the fact that most catchers are not going to be better than your average regular position players. That's just not what they do. But I am just saying, let's appreciate what we got. But for right now, I don't know. I don't know. But Campisano is really forcing the issue. That's how bad he played. And he's still injured right now. So we'll see. I think it deserves to be more of a timeshare. Maybe if they find, Campisano, there's a better splits sort of situation. Maybe they want to do righty-lefty. Maybe it depends on the starter. But for right now, those are my thoughts. A little bit jumbled thoughts, but let's see. It hurts. You know what I mean? It hurts. I'm sad because I love Campisano. But folks, you know what else I love doing? I love talking about the Padres almost blowing it with the bullpen. I'm joking, of course. I hate talking about it, but we're going to talk about it anyway because that's what we do on this podcast. But first, I want to take a second to talk to you about a lovely, lovely new sponsor, folks. This episode of Locked On Padres is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. It's one of my favorite taglines ever. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for the baseball games, maybe you're trying to go cross country, you're trying to visit every ballpark, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about or just go to their ballparks. Yes, we're talking about even your rival cities. Maybe you want to go to D.C. I was in D.C. recently. With hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might find just what you need for your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival's city. And it's great. It's great. I've used it before. They really do hook you up with kind of everything, makes it as fluid and easy as possible. And New York Yankee fan, maybe you're heading up to Boston. I hate Boston, and I might be heading up there in August, which will be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited for it. And I will be using Booking.com to let me know about where I can go to get my, maybe, I don't know, clam chowder. Is that what the Boston's known for? You can get that, all the best hotels and all that stuff for sure. It's really great. The right stay, malfunction there. The right stay you can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com or the site in the Booking.com app. Go check that out. And also, guys, I want to talk to you really quickly about another classic sponsor of the show, that is LinkedIn, specifically LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and emerge high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. So if you've been struggling to close deals, it's tougher than ever, man. Well, LinkedIn Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. And what an install base with more than 1 billion fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform. That's just wild to me that's how many. Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go one more time to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. And just like that, folks, we are back here in the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing as always. Last thing I want to talk about. Two things I want to talk about. Padres bullpen, first of all. Man. Man. It is... Look. Adrian Morejon, man. He wasn't great. Tom Cosgrove, I warned y'all before the season. He's just... This man has an 11.6 ERA now, up from 9.42. They just brought him back up, and he has immediately made everyone say, no, this is not great. Look, I know that advanced stats, I don't like to inundate you guys with too many stats, listeners, viewers, whatever, but I really do think that XFIP mark was a big red flag and showed you maybe the Padres defense was covering up for him a little bit. His stuff was pretty solid last year. He's been so bad that first of all, it's a reminder of like why I hate relievers. Hot take, guys. I hate relievers. I really do. I just cannot stand a bad bullpen. It drives me insane when guys can't get an out. And that's what happened here. All our guy does is come in 0.1 outs. I don't know why I said that. All he gets is 1 out. He gives up 4 earned runs on 2 hits and a walk. Just a disastrous outing from him. And then they have to bring in Adrian Morejon, who also struggles and gives up an earned run as well on 2 hits. Now, he's still been very solid for the most part, although he still has this vibe that I just in a playoff game, guys, I just don't trust him. I don't care if technically by ERA he's been the second best reliever in this bullpen, right? I don't care. But I will say it says a lot that he's second in ERA in this bullpen right now. This is a big problem, how bad this Padres bullpen has been of late, because it doesn't matter who it is. There's always someone new. And again, I've defended Yuki Matsui. I really think that he's pretty good. I really do. Like, I think he's solid. I think that his fastball could become an issue, but the split finger is just so good. And I like that they've been using him in lower leverage to kind of like maybe get his confidence back. But he hasn't given up a run since June 4th. So I think he deserves some credit. I really do. Yuki Matsui has been a little bit better lately, but this bullpen hasn't been firing on all cylinders with the exception of that what feels like brief stretch when when Robert Suarez and Jeremiah Estrada were just a 1-2 electric, oh my God, it is over punch. But otherwise, that's a mistake. I know Robert Suarez didn't have to get brought into this game, but the fact that they had him warming up, eventually, Morejon finished it off, but that is egregiously, heinously, spectacularly bad. You got an 8-run lead in the bottom of the 9th, top of the 9th in this case, and you almost had to bring in your closer. That's bad. So thankfully they didn't. He was warming up, though, but even the fact that he was warming up, the number one thing, in my opinion, this team needs, you need pitching, obviously, but one issue with this team is they need so much right now because we don't know how long Tatis is going to be out. We don't know how long Xander Bogaerts is going to still be out. They said maybe July, but also Xander Bogaerts hasn't been very good. And then you have an issue with the fact that your catcher situation is really messed up with Kyle Higashioka starting like every other game. That's not good. You have problems with your outfield. You have problems with especially your starting pitching with Musgrove and Darvish. This team is getting killed by injuries right now. It's almost like we're not allowed to get lucky in 2 things. Right? Last year, we were one of the least clutch teams in the history of the goddamn sport. And then this year, unlike last year, the injury luck is just killing the Padres right now. So part of me is like, I'm really happy that they're doing well, but eventually these injuries are probably going to catch up and they need to make some moves. I do not know why they necessarily waited so long on Tommy Pham and they just let him go with the White Sox, but this is a Tirso Ornelas? Is that who they have to call up? Do they have to Leotis DeVries? He's not ready yet. He's not, at a high level yet, even if we love him. Ethan Salas isn't ready. The kid's like 18, guys. So this is a team that is in like DEFCON 1 when it comes to the things that they need at the deadline. And that's what makes me nervous, because with so many different needs, and with Preller being as crazy as he is, he could nuke the farm in order to get starting pitchers, in order to get outfielders, whatever it is. I don't know exactly what they'll do, but that's a bad sign in my opinion. Is he going to nuke the farm and do a trade for Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet? I could see it. Is he going to trade for some other outfielders out there? I don't necessarily know, but I don't think it'll cost too much to get decent replacements. That's what they need. Decent replacements. When it comes to relievers, I will say the one positive news is while they do need a lot, mentioned the outfield and the right field, catcher, all that stuff. But relievers, I just find you can really address that. I really do. I think you can address that without going nuts. I don't think this team necessarily needs a Mason Miller, right? That would be great. That'd be awesome. But I don't necessarily think that this team needs that. I'd love to trade with the A's, though, for the record, because I think that team is hilariously bad. And I think that they are a team that you can finagle sometimes. They gave up Matt Olson and Sean Manaea and who else? Sean Murphy. They gave up like all their Matt Chapman for nothing. You know what I mean? Matt Olson was like an MVP contender last year. It's not impossible that because of who the A's are, that you can go into negotiations with them and be like, look, you're not keeping these guys. You might not even keep them for arbitration. That's how cheap your owner is. So come on, let's not play stupid here. Here's the deal we're giving you, the end. I feel like you can play hardball with the A's, so hopefully they can maybe do that. But if they don't, maybe a Danny Jimenez, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of relievers out there who can be solid. Maybe there's something that Preller sees, and they can do better. And I also have faith that some of these other guys can get better. I have faith that Jeremiah Estrada's stuff is going to eventually come back, and he's just hitting a little bit of a rookie wall right now. I have faith that Enel De Los Santos will be a little bit more steady. I have faith that Yuki Matsui can improve. As I said, he hasn't given up basically any runs this month for the most part, except for that one early moment in June. I do believe they can get better. I do. So I'm not panicking, but the bullpen is definitely a problem. I do think that they can address it, though. I do. I just think bullpen is the easiest thing to address, especially midway through the season. It's not like teams ask for a crazy amount unless you're asking for your Josh Hader, Mason Millers, Ryan Rivera, whatever, right? Unless it's those guys, I think they're okay. And you guys actually responded, by the way, to my tweet from yesterday. Which players do you think the Padres should be trying to trade for? Steve Owens said the Gary Oldman gif from Leon the Professional, everyone, when he shouts. That was funny. And then Spencer DePhil says, as long as the Tatis injury isn't long-term, I think we only need one starter and two bullpen arms just to give other guys a rest. Well, Tatis' injury might be long-term. Dr. Fong Leong at Obi Fong, which is an incredible @ by the way, a lefty who can help stabilize our rotation and not cost us a top 4 prospect. Tyler Anderson would be a solid ad. Shouts to my guy, Doctor. I have been talking about Tyler Anderson for a long time. Him and Alex Wood. I was wrong about Alex Wood, but Tyler Anderson this year, 2.63 ERA. Not too shabby, but he makes me nervous. An expected ERA of 4.71, a FIP of 4.76, and an xFIP of 5.27. So that's why I'm nervous. He's not striking out batters, and he's certainly walking a lot of them. Look, it would be nice to have this. It would probably wouldn't cost all that much, but an 11% walk rate, that's not good. So look, I appreciate it. That you brought up my guy, Tyler Anderson, but I just don't trust these peripherals. I think that this is scary, and I don't know what he did with the Dodgers. It's straight annoying how good he was with the Dodgers. Put up a 4-win season with them for some reason. I don't know. You probably wouldn't have to give up too much, but at that point, wouldn't you rather just call up some other prospects or anything like that? I don't know. He'll probably be on the market, something like that, but I really do think that this team overall can make trades. And I agree with your main point, which is that, you know, there are lower tier guys that you go after. Maybe get Kyle Quantrill's not going to cost too much. Maybe a guy like Zach Little isn't going to cost too much to help out, right? I don't think that you have to go absolutely nuts. Eric Feed of the White Sox? Maybe that's the dream. That might be the dream starter for me. Doesn't cost too much, only under a contract for another year. Peripherals are okay and won't cost nearly as much as Garrett Crochet. So maybe that's what they're working on. I don't know. Another response, though, to that question we got Severino. Luis Severino of the Mets. Here's the thing. I think that like a month ago, maybe not even a month ago, maybe like 2.5 weeks ago, I think everyone was like, yeah, the Mets are going to be big time sellers. But right now they're not. And as we are recording this podcast, they are beating the Yankees and they might sweep them because it's in a rain delay right now. Their offense has been legit. They're really good. I think that they might stay pat. I think. we'll have to see. I think we need a lot more time. Like, we need to just wait a little bit, wait the next couple weeks. Maybe they go on a bad stretch, but I just don't know if the Mets are going to be selling. I think that there's going to be a lot of teams selling. I think that there's plenty of teams in the National League that are going to be selling that you can go and try and, get in trade positions. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be selling. I think the Cubs are going to be selling. I think that the Reds might sell a little bit. So the Pirates might sell a little bit. There's going to be options. We just don't fully know who they are yet. But Luis Severino, I'd like him, especially because it was only 1 year contract, I believe. That would be great. But also, I will say one thing about him. The man has injury problems, and he's just very we might run into the same issue. He's having a nice bounce back season, but makes me a little bit nervous. He also walks a little bit too many batters, and the strikeout stuff isn't there anymore. But we'll see. I appreciate your guys' responses. I cannot wait to see where this team goes. This Red Sox series is going to be a blast. Look forward to my crossover with Gabby Hurlburt, I hope that's how I say your name. She's going to be on the pod tomorrow to talk about this Red Sox series. Give us the lowdown. It'll be a lot of fun. I love meeting new hosts. I love when you guys meet new hosts, because the baseball community in Locked On has plenty of them. But with that all being said, everybody, that about does it for today's edition of the Locked On Padres podcast, the only pod that may be better than the Padres themselves. Remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow me on Twitter and send me all of your questions for Monday's mailbag at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. And until next time, stay safe and, of course, stay faithful. My Friar Faithful homies, take care.